As Pierpont's man on the commission, Davison reflected his mentor's uncompromising preference for banker rather than politician control of a central bank. He also expected such a bank to introduce a level playing field and end the competitive advantage of the trusts. In November 1910, in what was billed to the press as a duck-shooting holiday, Davison, now a Morgan partner, and other Wall Street bankers met secretly at the Jekyll Island Club, a palm-shaded seaside compound of turreted buildings off the Georgia coast and a favorite Morgan hideaway. Known as the resort of the 100 millionaires, Jekyll Island claimed among its organizers Pierpont's chum, George F. Baker. Pierpont kept an apartment in its Sanssouci building. The Jekyll Island meeting would be the fountain of 1,000 conspiracy theories. Here, Wall Street bankers worked out their plan for a central bank under private aegis, a system of regional reserve banks topped by a governing board of commercial bankers. Davison, an architect of the meeting, not only got a suspicious station master in Brunswick, Georgia, to keep quiet about his suspicions, but often led the discussion. As Paul M. Warburg of Kuhn Loeb, one of the key theoreticians at the meeting, later said, Davison had an uncanny gift in sensing the proper moment for changing the topic, for giving the discussion a timely new turn, thus avoiding a clash or deadlock. When Senator Aldrich presented his bill for a central bank to Congress in 1910, the Democrats blocked it. In 1913, Congressman Carter Glass, a Virginia Democrat, used it as the basis for the Federal Reserve Act, although making extensive modifications. President Wilson successfully demanded that the system of 12 private regional reserve banks be placed under a central political authority, a Washington board that would include the Treasury Secretary and presidential appointees. Progressives hoped the Federal Reserve would reduce the House of Morgan's unique power. As we shall see, the truth was far more complex, for the bank would skillfully harness the Fed and use it to amplify its powers. In an ironic outcome unforeseen by reformers, it would become the private bank of choice for central banks throughout the world, giving it an incalculable new advantage. When the Republican President William Howard Taft took office in 1909, the wily George Perkins flattered himself, thinking that he had already wormed his way into its inner council. Taft sent him a confidential draft of his inaugural address, which was, in all respects, conciliatory and harmonizing in tone, Perkins reported to Pierpont. He felt convinced Taft would water down the troublesome Sherman Antitrust Act. In coded cables to Morgan, who was vacationing in Egypt, Perkins made it sound as if he alone had picked the new cabinet. Acting on suggestion made solely by me 2 weeks ago, Franklin McVeigh Chicago has been selected for Secretary of Treasury. Wickersham will be Attorney General, and other places are filled to our entire satisfaction. Yet the one-term Taft administration would be deeply ambivalent toward the House of Morgan. On the surface, it would seem even more hostile than Roosevelt's, and surprisingly,